Either you're very brave or exceedingly stupid. Which is it?
Neither. But I'm not going to let anything or anyone stand in my way until I know what's happened to my sister.
You know, I admire that. Loyalty is an admirable trait in anyone, even someone so foolhardy as you. I guess we can assume you don't trust me, Laura. But in this instance, you have no choice. I give you my word, I have done nothing to Luke or to your sister.
But you're just insane.
If I'm considerate enough to enlighten you, please don't interrupt. I have removed Luke. Removed him, my dear. Nothing more and nothing less.
I don't know what that means.
I'm about to tell you. As you know, Luke Spencer and his friends, your sister included, have been observing our activities. Observing with increasing intensity, I might add. And surely you realize that's intolerable. It makes it literally impossible to proceed with our plans. So, I got their attention diverted.
Look, I don't know what that means either.
If you give me your attention, you will. I promise. I have done precisely what I said. I have created a diversion to take their attention away from us. That and nothing else.
I don't believe it. I know my sister. And she's so worried about me that she won't give up the same way that Luke is worried about his own wife.
Yes, I assume that. In fact, Jackie's interest in finding you and Luke's desire to find his wife were basic to my plan.
It's got to be something really incredible to keep Jackie from looking for me.
Oh, quite incredible. Which is exactly what I provided for them.
What?
For the first time, I'm beginning to see some of the qualities in Laura you find so attractive. To say the least, my dear, you are tenacious. So, you want to know how I diverted their attention, do you?
Yes, I do.
Very well. Listen closely, my child, and I'll tell you.
It's just an incredible story, Rick. And it's awful you have to wait to hear that news, but then you really won't know anything until you hear from Luke.
I don't know when I'm going to hear from Luke. That's the other half. Hi. Jesse, do you have any messages for me?
Oh, yes, I do. I have some for both of you.
Oh,
There you go.
thank you.
Thanks, Jess.
Have you heard the wonderful news about Ruby being back?
Well, that's great. I'd like to see her.
Oh, I would too.
Well, she went upstairs for a few minutes, but I think she'll be back. Speak of the devil, here she is.
Well, now, are you referring to me, Jess?
I certainly am. We're so glad to have you back.
Yes, it is. Welcome home.
Oh, it is so good to have you back here, and not as a patient.
Oh, believe me, it feels good. Now, you're the man I wanted to see.
Something wrong?
Well, I hope not. Just confused. Luke was supposed to pick me up at the apartment and drive me to work, you know, to celebrate my first day. And then I got this peculiar phone call from Tiffany.
What did Tiffany say?
Well, it was a little confusing. Something about Luke is going to Beecher's Corners and then to some remote place in Maine. It was funny.
Funny how?
Well, she sounded strange, like she was frightened there was somebody there. It was mysterious.
It isn't exactly mysterious, no.
You mean you know what it means?
Yes, I do, and I think you should know exactly what's happened.
Oh, Rick, I was just going to have you paged.
Something wrong, Promise?
No, not really. I have an estimate here on the new cardiology equipment. I'd like you to look it over before I place the order. It won't take long.
Fine. Gail, could you kind of start and tell Ruby exactly what's going on? Maybe over in the lounge,
Sure,
please.
of course I will. Come on, Ruby, I'll fill you in.
Thank you. Yeah, I'll be there in just a minute.
Yeah.
Oh,
Anyway, yes, of course it was. Anyway, what Rick found out.
Nora, I know this might not sound important, but it is. Are you sure that you didn't administer any anticoagulant drugs to Mrs. Newell before she had her surgery?
I'm positive, Anne. I prepped her myself. Now, if anyone would have given her an injection, I would have been the one. However, Arlene and Janet were both on duty that day. It's possible they did it.
I know they didn't, Nora. I already asked them. Thanks.
Reason.
Did you fill her in?
Well, yeah, pretty much everything you told me, Rick.
Yeah, she explained it to me. Let's pray that that's what Luke's been waiting for. We've all been waiting and praying for.
Let's hope he finds her this time.
on board. That's right. I told you we've been delaying takeoff waiting for you. Go right on in, Mr. Spencer.
Let's go, Mel. Hit the buttons.
Oh, good Lord, I can't believe it. It looks so real. I almost want to reach out and touch her.
I gather you're impressed.
Impressed? Gosh, I never knew it could look this good, so real.
I assure you it's not. Although that's the whole purpose of a hologram. Total and absolute reality. You can turn it off now, Mel.
I knew Mel was working on holograms, but I had no idea it was so real.
I hope you feel privileged, Laura. What you've just seen is not only the culmination of Mel's intense work, it's a scientific wonder.
Okay, but I still don't understand how this lured Luke away.
Actually, we had one lucky break. Mrs. Whitaker is basically a naive woman, so it was relatively simple to convince her that she actually saw Laura Spencer in their barn.
We beamed the hologram right into the barn.
So you didn't go to New York. You went to Beecher's Corners.
Well, we did both, actually. Darling, I don't want you to think I was trying to deceive you. We did go to New York to get the equipment, but we went directly back to New York after we beamed the hologram into the Whitaker barn.
Okay, well, I still don't understand this.
We've shown you so much, Laura. If you still want to know more, just ask.
Okay. Well, Mrs. Whitaker saw the image of Laura. Then she must have contacted Luke.
And Luke lost no time getting to Beecher's Corners.
Which we knew he'd do. When he got there, of course, we were gone. And so was the hologram of his Laura.
Well, so when he realized she wasn't there, why didn't he just turn around and come back to Port Charles?
My dear girl, you obviously underestimate my thoroughness in planning. We left just enough clues in the Whitaker barn to start Luke on a very long and very fruitless wild goose chase.
You see, darling, David's had constant reports. Luke followed the clues the way a A bird would follow a trail of crumbs.
Actually, we've come to the end of the trail.
End of it?
At this moment, how shall I say, he's embarked on a journey, a long journey. And I assure you, he will not be back for a very long time.
Oh, Lord, how do I ask this? Is Jackie with him?
No, honey, she's not.
She's quite all right, I promise you. But I'm sure you realize how my plan affects her. With Luke vanished into thin air, and I mean that quite literally, Jackie and Luke's friend, Robert Scorpio, will be totally occupied with finding Luke.
Which they won't. And that means they will be busy for a very long time.
Well, how can you be so sure they won't find Luke?
Because he will be very far away, overseas to be exact, in a remote area overseas, and gone long enough to keep your sister and Scorpio busy searching for a very long time for a Luke Spencer they will never find.
Mr. Spencer, and welcome aboard your private flight to Shangri-La. It'll be a long flight, so I suggest you make yourself comfortable. As you can see, since you are our only passenger this morning, you have a choice of seats, window or aisle, smoking or non-smoking. Usually at this time, I would instruct our passengers on the use of safety features on this aircraft. Unfortunately, Mr. Spencer, there are no safety features. Now, may I wish you a pleasant flight? And thank you for choosing Jasper Charter Airways.
Noah, wait a minute, please. I've got to talk to you.
Yes, I was afraid you might.
Look, I know you must think I'm a pain, but I really do have something to tell you.
All right, what?
Look, I got the duty list of all the nurses that worked on the floor that Mrs. Newell had her surgery, the day that she had her surgery.
I know. I heard you asking Jessie for it.
Okay. I questioned every single one of those nurses, and not one of them gave Mrs. Newell an anticoagulant before her surgery.
So?
No, I was right. She did not receive an anticoagulant drug because it was not on the drug list. It was added to the list after she died.
Are you through?
Don't you know what this means?
Yes, I know what it means. It means absolutely nothing.
Nothing. What do you mean, nothing?
Because, as usual, you're going off half-cocked and you're jumping to all the wrong conclusions.
And just how am I doing that?
Did it ever occur to you that maybe Bradshaw himself administered the anticoagulant to her? I was assisting. Maybe I did.
Did you know her?
No, I didn't, as a matter of fact, but I bet you 100 to 1 Bradshaw did.
I don't think so.
Oh, gee, I don't believe you're doing this, Annie, again. Gee, you grab hold of these stupid ideas and you hang on to them. Hang on to them like a sick puppy. You're only going to make a fool of yourself. Look, I've totally had it. I've totally had it with this stuff. It's rubbish. If you excuse me, I'm a doctor. I'm not a second-rate detective.
Clara. Hi. Jessie said I could find you down here. Mind if I join you?
No, of course not, Anne. How are things going?
Oh, hectic, but I like it that way. Actually, I wanted to ask you something.
If I can answer a question, I will. And I don't mind saying, I wish all the scrub nurses were that eager to learn.
Well, what I want to know is, if a patient is a pre-op and there's a drug prescribed prior to surgery, who is responsible for administering that drug?
the nurse assigned to prep the patient for surgery, usually.
That's what I thought. I was just wondering, does the surgeon ever give pre-surgical injections himself?
Well, he can, of course, but it rarely happens. Just between us, a good nurse is much better at giving injections than most doctors. For one thing, she's had more experience. That's one reason most doctors don't bother administering drugs personally.
For example, Dr. Bradshaw. Does he ever give his own injections?
Arthur Bradshaw? You couldn't have picked a better example of what I mean. I've never known him to give an injection since he joined the staff.
Never?
Oh, I doubt if he's had a hypo in his hand in years. Well, doctors are often rather status conscious, you know. And believe me, Arthur Bradshaw is.
Status conscious.
Drugs are nurses' work. Surgeons have their minds on loftier things. No, I take an oath on it. Bradshaw does not give his own injections. It's beneath him.
I was just wondering. I just want to make sure I know how things should work.
As I said, I'm glad you're interested. Anything else?
No, not that I can think of. Thank you very much. You've been very helpful.
Yes?
Mr. Gray? Jasper Airways. Luke Spencer is airborne.
Excellent. Any complications?
No, sir, went exactly as planned.
I'm delighted to hear it. Please accept my thanks and thank your colleagues too, Stuart.
Thank you, Mr. Gray. It's always a pleasure.
I'll be in touch if I need you. Excellent. Another report? The best. Luke Spencer is aboard a plane and on his way to Europe. I believe I might even allow myself a sigh of relief.
You deserve one, David.
I believe I do. With Luke permanently out of the way, that means our project can proceed in total safety.